Emily, welcome to Journey to Point B. I'm very excited to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here with you.
I'm very intrigued by your career journey. You are a CTO of a company now at SKG. And what I was intrigued about your career journey is that you don't have a traditional tech background, yet you were able to climb up at this level. What was the beginning of this journey, Emily?
So I have a very nonlinear journey. I started my career, I would say, in tech, sort of, when I moved into the professional world. I got my undergraduate degree in neuroscience and business administration up in Dallas, and I was working in the healthcare industry at the time, and moved to Houston to start a new path. I didn't realize I was going to exit healthcare at the time, but I left the healthcare industry entirely and moved into commercial construction and furniture. And what I gravitated towards naturally in my work there was I started rolling out software implementation for our company, for our project management and ops team. And so I would say that was the beginning of my journey, where I was super curious about technology as a solution to help people do things better, more efficiently. I was like very tech native, just getting all up in there, learning all the things about how the technology worked. And from there ended up digging into like data analytics. And so I just kind of formed this role and natural curiosity around technology and data that I loved. And so from there, I moved to Austin, and I got my MBA right before moving to Austin. And I moved into a role that was very data analytics heavy, working at a commercial furniture dealership here. And then my CEO was like, hey, let's build a technology platform to service our customers, which we actually ended up rebuilding and selling to the greater market across the United States. So I spent the last, about a year ago, the last 3 years prior to that, building that SaaS tool. And now I'm back at our sister company, SKG, as CTO. So lots of pivoting, lots of movement, but I love what I do every day. And I'm very grateful for that.
Definitely not linear.
Yeah.
So, what were some things that you think you did well to support you in this journey?
That is a great question, and one that I actually get asked quite often. And I would say there are probably three big things. One of them is a constant desire to learn and being naturally curious. And that can be, for me, that was professional education. I have two undergrad degrees, an MBA, and then a digital transformation certificate from MIT. So I've always been like one that's like, I need to go back to school. I got this itch. And that is not for everyone, right? So you could do certifications, you can do online learning. Like, the world is your oyster, I feel like, when it comes to learning now. But constant curiosity and learning new things has definitely helped me on this path in ways that I cannot describe. I love to just like figure it out. So that's one of them. The second one is community. So as you know, I'm a big proponent of community, finding your network, finding the space of people that will support you and help you. Because I feel like most of the time people really do want to help. They want to provide the knowledge that they have, or give back in some way. And so everywhere I went, I found community to support me on my journey, which meant a lot of different things throughout my path. And then just a passion and desire, like figuring out what I was really passionate about, and being lucky enough to have either companies or bosses who supported my curiosity in those areas, and let me figure that out and navigate my way into a role that I really love, even without the like formal technical background as a developer or designer or whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm. So what I hear is, first, you being an owner of your career, your learning, your growth. Then is being in a good community, and then establishing good relationships with your leaders, people in the company that could support you in your growth.
And talking about it too, right? Like telling people, oh, I love doing this thing, I want to do more of this. Like getting curious and figuring that out and telling people that's what you're interested in. And I feel like people will be like, if they don't have somebody already solving that problem, they'll be like, cool, you've got a solution, thanks for figuring that out. Here you go. Keep doing that.
I know that when people pivot on something so new or so different than what we're doing, we often can experience, I don't necessarily like the term, but we experience a little bit of the imposter, a little bit of doubting ourselves and things like that. Since you came into such a new territory, what were some of the things that you experienced and how did you deal with it?
I would say my younger self definitely, truthfully, had a lot of anxiety. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but nobody knows what they're doing until they do it for the first time, right? So giving yourself a little bit of grace, but hustling to figure it out, right? So that's where that curiosity and learning comes into play. But every pivot that I've made, whether it's like from healthcare to the construction stuff to building technology, I think part of what helps me is I'm excited about learning the new thing because I get like the itch and I'm curious. And as I've made multiple pivots, it's gotten a little bit easier to be like, oh, I have faith in myself. I'll figure it out. And if I don't know the answer, I've got resources or people or community or technology solutions to help me figure out the solution to the problem. And so I think when I think about people going through career transitions or being afraid to say, oh, I'm going from X to Y, can I really do it? Yeah, you probably can. You are capable and you can totally do it. You just have to take that leap and figure it out. And if it doesn't work out, you could always go back to the thing that you were doing before, if that ends up being the thing that you loved, right? So it doesn't always have to be I'm diving into the pool and I can't get out if I don't like it. But it's you'll never know until you do it. So getting over that initial fear and then having the faith in yourself that you can figure it out or find somebody to help you along your way and believing that will prove to be a good outcome has been helpful for me.
Yeah, so when we're hearing that doubt voice, not believe it, try to do something about it, like taking it as an indication that maybe there is some learning that can be done, and instead of giving up, to take steps to learn and see if we can figure it out. And if not, as you said, there's there are just very few roads that they don't have a turnaround.
Yeah. Yes. Very true.
What would you say were some of your challenges as you navigated the journey?
Wow. I think, in my first couple of pivots, going from healthcare to the construction industry, I mean, I literally had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what a vendor was. I didn't know what a purchase order was. And so that was very challenging from an extremely high learning curve to figure out what I was doing to service my customers. So, it's not knowing what you know until you know it. So in all of these pivots, having the ramp up to learn whether it's the lingo or understanding what a developer does. When I moved into the tech world, I built a SaaS platform with my CEO from scratch, and I had never done anything like that before. So that ramp up to learn and understand is definitely challenging and time consuming. I dedicated a lot of time to that and did educational courses. So that was definitely a struggle, and just getting that belief in myself that I can do it. It doesn't come naturally to human beings, right? I feel like many times we do have that self-doubt, and surrounding yourself with people who are like, yeah, you can figure it out. I got this. I figured it out. Here's how I got there. That really helped me in those tough times where I was uncertain about, am I making the right decision? Am I building this product the correct way? So hopefully that answered your question, but I'm happy to elaborate more in any of those segments.
Yeah. So what I hear is that whenever there was an obstacle, take some time to figure it out. Don't necessarily rush in, and you figured it out. And the most obstacles that you had to overcome, the more confidence you built to be prepared for the next one, maybe bigger one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think about my younger self. I felt like I had to know it all and do it all myself. And yeah, there are times that taking ownership of that is absolutely appropriate. But as I've moved into the role that I am in today, or even when we built the SaaS tool, I'm not a developer. I'm not a UI UX designer. I'm not a specialist in cybersecurity to the nitty gritty areas that I am now. But I hire the people and surround myself with the team that has that knowledge that I have the confidence in. And so that's where it's, for me now, it's like I have enough knowledge to understand the holistic environment, or to understand for our tech platform what that needs to be to service our customers. What are they saying they want? What do they need? And then the ability to articulate that to our team, make sure it's executed. So, it's also surrounding yourself with people in a team or in your community or whatever. It still goes back to, you can't hold the knowledge of the entire world. Mm-hmm. Leverage your resources, leverage your community, and, trust that your experts in different fields are going to serve you well and move forward. And if they don't, then, you can take action at that time. But I'm certainly not a React developer, but I did have some darn good ones that help us build our product.
So having your skills, but also having trusted advisors. And what I like, one of the common things that I see when we are in a position of leadership is that we feel we need to know everything. Everything is only on our shoulders. We need to come up with a strategy. We need to have the best solution. And it's a trap because nobody, as you said, nobody knows it all. But having I don't know if necessary courage to go and include other people, to go and possibly even admit that, okay, I don't know this, help me figure it out, like knowing where the answer may lay, but also having the courage to go and ask for it and not believe that might reveal that we're not capable or something like that can just make us stronger.
Yeah, and it took me a while to get there. I was like, I got to do it all. I got to know it all. And earlier in my career, and it took me. I have a wonderful, wonderful CEO who has building our tech platform. The company before that, which I'm back at now, and being CTO today, she helped me recognize that she hires people and surrounds herself with people who know things about stuff that she doesn't, right? And so that, learning that from her and trusting myself that, like, if we place the right people in the right positions under us and hold them accountable and all are driving to the same end goal, having that trust with your team and the ability to be vulnerable and say, like I tell my team all the time, I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about in cybersecurity land here. Can you break this down a little bit for me and remind me, what are we talking about? Because this is way more technical than I could ever be in that space. And they're gracious and kind and love to share their knowledge. And it helps me level set and understand what we're doing. And then I can say, go, no go. So yeah, it's that was a really interesting part of my journey. And it took me a while to let go of that kind of like, I have to control it all so I can execute and deliver, where it's like the separation of, I have a responsibility to execute and deliver on this bucket, but like there are other people that can own or do own these other buckets, and they're responsible for themselves. Like me as a leader now, I have to hold them accountable to that. But at the end of the day, they're my cybersecurity person, or they're my help desk folks, or whatever that looks like. And they're the experts in those spaces, and being able to rely on those people and trust them and empower them and hold them accountable to making sure everything runs on track has been probably one of the biggest things in my leadership journey that I've learned to do, instead of feeling like it always has to be me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like a type A perfectionist thing that I had to let go of as I was moving throughout my career.
Let's take the role of CTO. What were some of the things that you've done in the early weeks or months that supported you to succeed?
So I definitely spent a lot of time with the team that started to roll up under me and the folks that were adjacent to that, learning, asking a million questions, going deep and understanding. So this is an area where I had to really go deep and understand, everybody's roles, what's our environment, where are we lacking, where are the risks. So, and then we had some really big projects happening at the same time that I had to like run and manage. And so really that was a few months of discovery time and concluding some big things that were in the bucket that I kind of picked up in the middle. And so that was probably like August, September that I started, moved back over and started that journey. And so I would say by the new year, I had a very holistic understanding of the team's capabilities, our infrastructure and environment, like what are our immediate needs? How does the rest of our team feel about how the technology is working for them and where we have some holes? And I think that discovery time set me up for success and helped me prioritize what do we need to do in the 2025 year. I can't believe it's almost June, but what do we need to do now to continue to serve our team, serve our customers, set us up for success? What can wait? What can't? And so just diving in, learning, absorbing, getting connected, talking to our team, I think is the biggest thing that helps me, prep and move through the 2025 year. And we've done a lot, and I'm so proud of our team. It's incredible what we've accomplished in such a short period of time, and they're really great. So I'm really grateful for that too.
So taking that time to interview whatever decisions you're making, they are informed decisions and based on knowledge, not assumptions.
100%. And it also helps build like that team trust and camaraderie. Because it's a shift, right? Going from rolling up to one person to somebody new. There's definitely a change there and a change in, my working style and my management style from whoever they were interacting with before. So, if I think about people that are interested in moving into leadership roles, or maybe they just entered a new one, talk to people and get real too. Like, I love people and I'm very blessed for that. Like I love people and knowing what they do and what's happening in their life. And so I think also recognizing that your employees, whoever you're managing, taking over, whatever that looks like, even your coworkers are also humans and have things happening in their lives. And, just being able to have that personal connection also helps. Like I also want to invest in you and I want to know that you're doing all right in life, and it doesn't have to go super deep, but at least making that human to human connection, I think is also really important. So that was also the perfect opportunity to do that and learn more about my team and the company employees as I moved into the role, which is great.
Mm-hmm. And having a conversation with you, I cannot not talk a little bit about women in tech. I know that you are a supporter of this community. You are now president-elect of Austin Women in Tech. So tell us what attracted you to support this community?
So when we first started to build our technology platform when I was here in Austin, COVID hit. And so I went from being in the office every day to being at home. And I had just moved here like 6 months before that happened. So I didn't know a lot of people and I had never built a tech platform before. So I was like, let me hop on Google. And I found Austin Women in Technology and joined as a member and then did some speaking for them over the course of like 6 months. I spoke on a panel on one of their virtual events, and I joined because I needed the technology community that I didn't have, that I'd never had before coming into this role and moving to Austin. And I just found this lovely community of people that were gracious, and I asked questions that I'm sure some of the developers were like, oh man, let me tell you all the things. And it helped me so significantly. And I made such incredible friends at the end of the day, in addition to mentors in different capacities, like just an incredible community of women and men that I got introduced to too, who could help with like investment and different things like that as we were moving through building our SaaS platform. And so I am just so incredibly passionate about the AWT is our shorthand, so our Austin Women in Technology community, because of the support, friendship, mentorship, grace that I found within that community has been just so wonderful. And as I've moved through, so I worked on community partnerships for a while, sponsorship, now president-elect, and I'm really excited for that. But just watching the community grow and thrive and seeing the connections that other women make or the career pivots that they're able to make. Maybe it's meeting their next boss. Maybe it's finding the company that they're going to work for in their next career pivot is also really wonderful because I've been so lucky to like have such an incredibly interesting journey and ended up in the tech space. So being able to support that for other women in the community is just so incredibly important to me. And I'm very passionate about the equity component, like equity for everyone. So anywhere I can find and support women in this space, I am so here for it and I love it.
We hear a lot that it's so hard to be a woman in tech, that there are not enough women in tech, and it's hard to have a career and in there, that it's hard to be in meetings where you're the only woman at the table and all these things. And I'm curious, from your experience, Emily, what are some things that you would say can help a woman that is interested to succeed in technology, but they're maybe hesitant because of what they hear, like the difficulties? So what are some things that you would say based on what you've experienced, what you've learned?
Yeah, I'd say definitely find community, whatever that looks like for you. Find women who are working in roles that you aspire to transition to, and ask them about how they did it, what it's like, because that can help you feel confident about making the transition. It's 100% achievable. You could totally do it. So I think having that, and then that builds your community of like, oh, I had a rough day today, or like, how do I handle this interaction, or things like that. So you build this like support system, and I recommend to find people that are in adjacent roles that you're curious about, because you guys can have that camaraderie of like, I'm navigating this specific career segment and I need some support. And, in addition to that, finding whether this is within the organization where you're wanting to make a pivot or the role or whatever, finding within that organization allies to support you. So that's something that I've found also to be helpful on my journey. Is I was lucky enough when I made this pivot to Austin, it was actually my old IT director moved to Austin to work for this company. And he was like, hey, I know what you're capable of. You need to come here and work for it. They don't even know that they need you. You just need to come over here and do it. It took me like a year to finally be like, fine, I'll give this a try. And I'm so, so, so grateful that I did that. But that was like what people commonly call sponsorship. And I didn't even know it at the time, right? But this man was showing up in a room telling the leadership of this company, like, hey, you really need to interview this woman, Emily. She needs to come solve these problems for you. And like, so find people too that will talk about you in rooms where you're not present, and, find the ally or the champion to support you when you're in a room and maybe you don't feel comfortable. Maybe you're getting talked over. Maybe you don't have a voice. Being able to find that connection within your team or an adjacent team and have somebody champion for you, I think can also really help you and make you feel empowered, right? And like, somebody's got my back. I'm capable. I know it. I'm going to show up and prove that I know what I'm doing. I'm capable, and somebody's there to like rally around me.
So it goes back to that community, sharing and creating that type of that group of advisor, but also mentors, and most importantly, making those mentors sponsors.
And it doesn't have to be women, right? Like, we need people to champion us generally. Find your boss or someone else on the team or whatever that looks like, or within the community generally, to support and guide you. And I will say, for people who are seeking a mentor or a sponsor, like, give them the level of effort. Don't just rely on them to like show up and call you and be like, yo, Emily, how are you doing today? Because you need to like, here's what I need from you. Here's what I specifically want to work on. So if you are looking for somebody to help guide you, tell them what your roadblocks are. Tell them where you're at, because they are giving their time for you and championing for you. So showing that effort as you're moving through your career or career change or whatever that looks like is really critical too, I think. Because that person's like investing in you, right?
Yeah, so be the leader in that relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, and they show up. They have the desire and capability to support you, but you need to drive it.
Yes.
It's your car to drive.
Yeah.
um, what did you learn about yourself, Emily, as you were making these pivots?
So it's funny. My husband, for many years, so we've been married for 12 years, which is insane to me when I say that out loud. I can't believe it's been that long. And he's been on my like career journey for all of it. And he used to tell me all the time, your superpower is people. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I love process and technology and automation. It's like, it's not people. And he told me this over and over again. And it really wasn't until I came to Austin and I got involved in AWT and I was like, I was always like really community involved. But then I came here and it became, Beth, my CEO, was like, she's so engaged in the community. Also, we're in totally different communities, but we're just like community people all through and through. And so I joined Austin Women in Technology, got on the board. She was super excited. And as I started working through this community partnerships role with AWT, I realized like I do love people and knowing about them, and like I'm hyper curious and I just like always want to touch base and be like, what are you up to? I've got friends that I've had for like 20 years and people are always baffled by, I can't believe you actually still like fly to see that human being. And it's like, well, like I love that human being. They're great. And I want to continue that relationship. And so really it is like my love for people and my natural curiosity for what they do, how they're doing in life. Is everyone doing okay? How can I help you? Has been the thing that as I've gone through my career, I've really actually learned like peopling is my superpower. And I feel so awkward saying that, but it's true. And so that was something that took me a little while to actually like learn and understand what my husband was saying when he was like, people are your superpower. I was like, meh, meh. So that's probably one of the most interesting things as I've become a full-fledged adult to learn about myself.
Yeah, I can second that. I had an opportunity to be a part of a group that you led. And I saw from the six, 7 people that were in that room, how you engaged everyone and everyone was heard and everyone felt like they belong. So I second what your husband told you just in that interaction that I had with you. So yeah, you're doing something good there. As you navigated this journey, you had to move at one point from individual contributor to a management role. What would you say to somebody that is making that pivot, that can support them to do a good job and be good leaders and managers?
Yeah, that is a great question. And if I look back at my 20-something-year-old self taking over my first team and what I've learned on this journey, I would say to that self, uh, get to know your team, learn about them, learn about what they're doing, be vulnerable in the space that, especially if you're taking over a new team or a new role, you're not going to know everything right out of the gate. And so, letting your guard down a little bit, absorbing the information, just really getting to know them and understanding where they're at is critical because it builds that camaraderie, that relationship, that trust. And then you can start to make decisions, implement change. I feel like when you first start to move into leadership and you're managing a team, it's like, they've been functioning some way up until that point and you're absorbing them and their cultural norms, and being vulnerable to understand all of that, I think can really set you up for success from a like learning how to manage that team and interact with those people and helping them feel comfortable with you as a leader. It's scary for individual contributors to be like, "Ooh, I got a new boss. How's this going to go down?" So meeting them at their human being level and holding them accountable, but still, understanding they are two people that are helping you and your company move forward, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's so good. It seems very complicated, but it all comes down to be a human. You're like you're a human. They're humans. Interview them, talk with them, make them feel that they are heard. Make sure you understand them, and then you learn how to work with them.
Yeah.
Because often what I found is that people get into these roles of management because they were so good at being an individual contributor. And then they are, as a prize, they are hit with 10 more people to lead. And
Yeah.
it's so scary. And it doesn't necessarily come with leadership training, but leadership training, it's all about how to connect with people.
Yes.
And how to understand how they work. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Emily. It was an absolute pleasure to interview you on this journey and learn even more about you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I love it. I love sharing my journey. And if I can help anybody out, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'd love to connect.
Wonderful. And I will have all that information in the show description. Thanks again. I hope this episode gave you some inspiration for reaching your goals. If you found it useful, please hit the subscribe button. This will help me bring you more inspirational stories to support your own journey to point B. Thank you.